Hello and welcome back to everyone, the rest of the another edition of AEW Dynamite Out of 10. And yeah, it's one of those 3-hour episodes today, just before a pay-per-view. Fullgear coming around the corner, so we've got the first hour of Collision bodged onto this one too, and some interesting stuff happening on the show. None more so than number one spot in the National Championship Casino Gauntlet, Lashley v Ricochet. Ricochet demanded the mic before the match to mock the crowd, MVP and everyone in the gauntlet. Bobby Lashley waited until the ref allowed him to fight and chokeslams the one and only onto GOA at ringside. Ricochet fought back but fell to a spear for the victory. This was mostly a squash despite Ricochet getting some decent offense in a short amount of time. Once he'd rifed the show for a few minutes to heat the show, it's clear they were building heat for a one-sided affair. At some point, Lashley and Ricochet should have a more complete contest together because this all made sense. When it allowed the Almighty to be unleashed. It wasn't the most exciting, but I think, Ricochet and Lashley both have a decent chance of winning the title. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. Moving on into the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander versus Skyfight. The Bucks and Alexander struggled to stay on the same page, and it almost cost them as Dante Martin got rolling late. However, after taking out Darius and Scorpio outside, the Bucks laid out Dante with an indie taker. Followed by Alexander forcing the tap out with an ankle lock. Afterwards, Don Callis demanded an answer from the Young Bucks, even threatening to join the family. Omega arrived before the answer, the walking weapon, then caught in an ankle lock, and then Callis demanded the Bucks hit him with the BTE trigger. Jurassic Express made their way to save the cleaner. The Bucks have been on such a heat in the ring that this was a letdown, but still strong. In particular, Skyflight looked great, taking advantage of the heel tendencies. The heels needs to win this match ahead of their big money match. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes, and obviously a reunion looks pretty likely, so that's going to be interesting. 6 out of 10. As we then moved on to Benjamin v Bailey in the number 2 spot in the National Championship Gauntlet. Benjamin and Bailey went at it throughout this contest, but the gold standard wouldn't stay down. After the ref decided the first super kick pinfall wasn't enough, Benjamin tossed Speedball around and finished with another super kick. A bad finish hurt an otherwise exciting back and forth contest. They worked really well together and should be recurring opponents in the future. It's a shame the ending will be talked about more than the match. It looked like Paul Turner didn't realise the first super kick was supposed to seal the win, forcing them to improvise. Even if Bailey was supposed to kick out, which seems less likely, it's best for the ref to count the pinfall. Anything else looks sloppy. Benjamin was as good as a boost status, and a little surprising considering how the Hurt Syndicate will open. It should be fun to see great veterans collide though, and Speedball to get involved later on. Benjamin makes sense as the first national champion, but the Casino Gauntlet will likely have an unpredictable winner. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. We then got Moxie and Claudio versus Cassidy and Strong. Casanoli was unstoppable force in this match, while Mox was struggling to keep his cool. After the Swiss Superman knocked out Cassidy with a European uppercut, the Death Rider leader locked in the Bulldog choke, and the ref called for the bell as Freshly Squeezed was out. The Death Rider attacked Cassidy and Strong until O'Reilly arrived. He got Mox to tap out to his ankle lock again and challenged him to a no-holds-barred match at Fullgear. The descent of Moxie's been consistently entertaining story since his loss to Derby, and it seems like his time with the Death Rider is coming to the end. The match not as strong as Shelton and Speedball, but the execution was great. The Death Riders looked dangerous. Mox needed this one, and it's still almost certainly going to lose to Kyle O'Reilly, but who knows? Even if Mox wins though, he won't be able to make Kyle O'Reilly tap out. So that's the intriguing storyline. 6 out of 10. As we then moved on to the tag team tournament, Timeless Love Bomb versus Windsor and Riho. After a while back and forth, Mina and Storm hit hip attacks on Windsor and Riho across the ring, followed by Storm Zero on Windsor for the victory. A delightful contest highlighting the tag team chemistry of both teams. While it wasn't as heated as previous quarterfinals, this was all fun dynamics between the competitors. Windsor and Storm have already built so much story together in a short time, and the English wrestler is one of the few women who can match the Timeless Ones free. Mina and Riho are a great pairing as well, and they look great together. This was the most obvious result though. Storm and Mina come off as obvious favourites, and it's going to be an intriguing collision with Bane and Shafir, that's for sure. 8 out of 10. As we then got Hangman versus Shibata. Paige survived the most dastardly tactics of Shibata, slipping out the wrestler's ankle lock with the boot coming free, and then connecting with a butt shot for the win. Afterwards, as Dynamite transformed to Collision, Hangman knocked out Shibata with a kick between the legs. He then warned Joe that he was alone and facing a man winning to go to winning lengths to win inside a cage. This was an excellent main event. Shibata was pushed to both faces into physical offense and cheap tactics. It was the best viewing that the wrestlers had as a heel in AEW, and he made the chance of it. At some point, letting EC go on a greater stakes match would definitely be worth it. But it set up a great match. Joe was great in commentary as well, continuing to sell his confidence. So 6 out of 10. We then got the women's tag tournament, TJ v Bane and Shafir. TJ started with an early advantage, keeping Bane and Shafir on their toes in this match. However, they couldn't outmatch their dangerous opponent. Shafir saved Bane on the Queen's Day and locked in the Mother's Milk on Anna for the victory. Afterwards, the Timeless Love Bombs appeared on Titantron to promise victory at Fullgear in their semi-finals clash. Even when this was competitive, it could hardly match up to or high bar set the rest of the quarterfinals. While TJ may be AEW's longest standing women's tag team champion, this was never quite in full sync, leading to a sloppy early stretch. The action calmed down, the heels took over, and they were giving it to TJ despite strong booking. It was not a squash, though it did feel abruptive. This was the right move, though. TJ on paper should have made it further, but Bane and Shafir were not losing, especially with that big match with Storm and Shirakawa to come. They come off the most dangerous teams in the tournament, so yeah, that's going to create a very intriguing match coming up. 5 out of 10. We then got Double Jeopardy Okada versus Mascara Dorada. Okada wore down Dorada throughout this fight until commentary was worried about Luchador's health. The Rainmaker sealed the win with Takeshika's Raging Fire, followed by the Rainmaker. Carlos announced that Okada, Hechicera and Takeshika would challenge for the CMLL Trios Championships at the Tailgate Brawl. An excellent Clash of Styles battle, even if some minor mishaps in the action that come with a lucha style of Dorada. The Rainmaker played his role well in these moments, keeping the heat while Dorada picked back up the pace. It was not at the same level as this triple threat against the Lucha on the Alpha earlier in the year, but it's still another strong match for the champ. The result was always going to be obvious, but it's a great way of setting up that match and continuing the Okada Takeshika issue. 6 out of 10. Then we moved on to the Women's Tag Team TV unification match between Red Velvet and Mercedes Moné. Moné seemed to injure the arm of Velvet early, and the CEO took advantage. Still, Velvet fought back, nearly catching Moné lacking. However, the CEO pulled out a surprise weapon in her arsenal, pulling her opponent off the top rope for a long blower to win. The Chris Statlander and CEO exchanged words afterwards. Moné blasted her with a meteor and locked in a statement maker, forcing a visible tap out. Days from Fullgear. They clicked instantly in this match, making the most of a hot crowd to deliver a brilliant main event. It was especially impressive that they built so much heat quickly. I think they can run it back. And yeah, I thought Velvet showed why she needs more opportunities as well, and hopefully she gets that now she's not with that title. And yeah, the result was obvious, but it feels right, and it seems like it's going to be a very interesting match at Fullgear. And overall, Dynamite gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Yeah, non-stop action. Obviously, I'm not a massive fan of the 3 hours. I would rather it just be simple too. But for what we were, I thought the most of the action we got on the show was pretty good. Lots of intriguing stuff heading towards Fullgear. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with the show. 6 out of 10.
That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.